If the goal of the Dark Triad is to open the Tree of Qliphoth to let all the devils in, then what exactly will they do when their own devils come into the living world? For example, let's say Lucifero finally manifests into the real world when the final gate is open. Why then would he need Dante as a vessel? Would his physical body not be open and easy for him to access? Isn't that what Zagrid did? Okay, so how will Tabata get over this problem? Will he somehow get the Dark Triad defeated before the rest of the gates open, where their respective devils come out? I'm not really sure that I like that exactly. So here is a video talking about what the future of the Dark Triad is and how I think Tabata is going to handle them. But before we move on, warning, there are going to be heavy spoilers for the end of the Golden Age saga or arc of Berserk. So please continue at your own discretion. I'm going to be spoiling the end of the first saga of Berserk. That's it. So make sure you drop a like, and if you've not subscribed already, do it, because my part 2 of the Kira family video will be dropping anytime soon, and the name of the video is The Lies of the Kira Family, so that should get you a little intrigued, hopefully. But yeah, so turn on notifications for that. So anyway, let's move on into the video, and again, like I said before, there will be spoilers for the end of the Golden Age saga of Berserk. You have been warned. Whether for its sets, fights, or its story, this series remains an important source of inspiration for me. I wanted to make a manga with that in mind, but in the shonen style. In 2018, in an interview with the French magazine Le Point Pop, Tabata revealed that the masterpiece manga Berserk was an important source of inspiration for him in creating Black Clover. In this interview, he reveals that he has all his assistants. Oh my god, I tried pronouncing it like 15 times. Why can't I say assistants? There we go. Okay, so he has all his assistants retain a copy of the Berserk manga on each of their desks. So this particular piece of information has been cited all across the internet when it comes to Black Clover, talking about how Tabata wants to make the story darker. Look, he wants to go the way of Berserk. Just let me come in and correct some things for you guys. So clearly from this statement, it is easy to interpret him as saying he wants Black Clover to become darker. But the thing is, if you understand what he's actually trying to say here, even though the translation is kind of iffy, he says that he likes the themes, like he likes the high fantasy, dark fantasy elements of Berserk, and he wants to take that and then put it into a shonen manga. He wants to make such a story created inspired by the plot, events, sets, and fights, and then he wants to put it in a shonen story. So he does not want the story to get dark or become as dark as Berserk at all, because that's the whole point of it. He wants that, but being able to be consumed by a younger audience or a shonen demography. So, if you've paid attention or even been around a while in the Black Clover fanbase, you would know that there are a lot of Berserk visual cues or influences that have been peppered throughout the story of Black Clover, sometimes in meaningful ways and other times in purely aesthetic ways. So, for example, Asta's Demon Slayer and Guts' Dragon Slayer. Bell is very similar to Puck. The Witch Forest is very similar to a story arc that takes place in Berserk, the location with a lot of witches and stuff like that. And then Asta's pose in the 5th anniversary magazine cover, Vengeance's mask, and so on and so forth. So while there are these small nods here and there are some winks to Berserk that go far beyond just small callbacks. The entire character of William and Patry and the eclipse and the advent of Qliphoth come to mind when we think of a more direct inspiration for the story. So to understand my theory and the main points that I will make, you will first need to understand the comparison that I'm going to make between the eclipse and the advent of Qliphoth. So let's talk about the eclipse. The eclipse, whose kanji translates to feast, is very important, is a rare event in the world of Berserk, occurring every 216 years to welcome a new member for the God Hand. So the God Hand, or the few chosen ones who essentially will enact the will of the ideas of evil. The reason why the eclipse is also known as the feast is because to become a member of the God Hand, one needs to offer a huge sacrifice for the apostles. Now, moving on to the ritual known as the Advent of Qliphoth, it has 4 parts. The first is a mage with World Tree magic and a mage with dark magic. And when these two are in a magic circle and their magic attributes are combined, the Tree of Qliphoth, a magic channel that connects the underworld to the living world, is created. The other 3 parts of the ritual involve the 3 Dark Triad members, each acting as the ones who activate the spell, which results in the creation of the Tree of Qliphoth. Once created, the only thing this tree does is grow in size and absorb or feast on the mana present in its surroundings. As this happens, since the connection between the underworld and the living world is established, the Triad are able to gain the full power of the devils they presumably have a contract with. Further, once the ritual, which takes place over the course of 7 days, is complete, the 2 catalysts for the ritual, the mages of the World Tree magic and dark magic, will be sacrificed and will die. I have heard of other events in the Berserk manga where the underworld and the overworld are connected. Once I reread and catch up to Berserk, please do expect another video where I make more comparisons and then try and see how things connect. But today, I wanted to talk about William and Patry's connection to Griffith and why I believe that Tabata didn't just stop at that to get inspired from Griffith for his villains. So, to me, from what I understood, Patry and William were extremely closely related to Griffith. Griffith is this magnetic figure who easily reels in admiration and devotion. His vaunted physical appearance, in conjunction with his allure and persuasiveness, makes his presence undeniable and his ambitious dream ever so captivating. So if you had to split that description of that person into 2, you would get William and Patry's characters in their purest form. They're both extremely charismatic, and their followers almost worship them and believe in their respective ambitious dreams and are extremely captivated by them. While William does not share in his beauty, Patry and Griffith's similarities in how beautiful they each are is extremely apparent. Further, in the story of Berserk, Griffith has displayed the ability to commune with the souls of the dead and is able to manifest their lost consciousnesses to provide them with one last opportunity to bid farewell to the world. So if you remember the small panels of the third eye and their revivals, we get to see Patry communicate with a dying human Raya Vetofana and reincarnate them. Further, we get to understand that to ensure the reincarnation of his people, Patry will need a lot of human sacrifices. So clearly Patry and William embody Griffith in his entirety, right? Well, I kind of disagree. This is because the most important aspect of Griffith is his transformation into a member of the God Hand, which has not shown up in either of their stories. So let's turn our attention to the topic at hand, the Dark Triad. So, we know that the Triad each have one common goal and their own individual goals which happen to be similar and ultimately feed into their common goal. Vanica wants to fight strong people, Dante wants to attain the ultimate malice, and Xenon, from what I understand, because this is not at all explicit, wants to call the Spade Kingdom and make it the ultimate country where only the strongest reside. So from the 3, I can sort of understand Xenon's position on wanting to get rid of the weakest so that only the strongest survive. That I feel like is a sufficiently deep goal. But when it comes to Vanica and Dante, their goals seem extremely surface level and kind of shallow compared to Xenon's, and this leads most viewers and readers to believe that the Triad are overall devoid of depth and are badly written villains. But I do not believe that it is as simple as it seems. While we do get the odd one out where they're saying, oh, Dante is extremely well written, look at this monologue and look at how his motivation and philosophy contrasts Asa. While I completely agree with all of that, there's still something that I feel like is a lot more that is yet to come from Tabata. So from just his dialogues, we're able to understand what Tabata wants to imply, but just because the fact that the basic goal has not been announced yet makes him an extremely interesting character, because when it is revealed, I'm sure we're gonna gain a lot more respect for him than we already have. So with Vanica, I do believe that further characterization will be mostly provided through her connection to Magicula and Aesir and Her fight with Lolo back in the day, again, is, I feel like, going to be hugely important. And the same thing with Gaja. When all of them come into play at the same time, I feel like Vanika's character is going to be expanded a lot, along with the Dark Triad's overall flashback. So the common goal of the Triad, as we know, is to ensure the advent of Qliphoth happens, for the underworld to connect to our world, and for the devils to pour in. So this essentially achieves all of their individual goals. Once the devils pour in, complete massacre will take place. The weak will be culled and only the strong will remain. That will achieve Xenon's goal, and the remaining strong individuals will be strong enough to entertain Vanika in a battle. Again, her goal is already fulfilled. Obviously, during the massacre, Dante will be able to witness incredible malice and will be able to satiate himself, at least for a while. That's right, I have not discussed what would bring depth to Dante's goal moving forward, because this one is a little special. See, I have always found it odd that the final goal of the Triad would be to let the world get taken over by devils. If that happens, where will the Triad go? What will their purpose be? Sure, they will be immediately satisfied with what happens in the short term, but what exactly will they do after that? While you can say, oh bro, Tabata or Dante didn't think that far ahead, he just wants evil things to happen, I really do think that that line of thinking is kind of disingenuous, to not put so much faith at all into Tabata and, frankly, Dante himself, because Dante himself never actually states that his goal is to let the devils in. If you remember the conversation between him and Yami, he only rejoices at the thought of the malice he would witness if that happens. He never states that that is his goal exactly. So what exactly is the plan of the Triad after opening the gates and letting all the devils in? Does even Morris only want to open the gates so that he could let the devils in and that's it? It really does not make sense to me, until you consider the fact that the most important part of Tabata's inspiration for villains, Griffith's rebirth into a God Hand member, has not yet been used in Black Clover. Let me explain. So let's talk about the first time that Yami comes face to face with a devil. The first devil, Zagrid. Yami reads his key and states that Zagrid is just pure malice. If the Triad were to open all the gates and allow their respective devils to come into the world, how will they be able to use the power of their devils? What reason would the devils have to keep providing them with power? There is none. This obviously is a fact that could not have been overlooked by the Triad, or at least Morris. So what exactly is the alternative? For Dante, experiencing the ultimate malice is his goal as a character, the basic goal. What better way can there be to do this than becoming malice itself? Exactly. So I believe that in the future, the Dark Triad will become devils of the Qliphoth themselves, and that will see them either ending up as the final villains for this arc, or perhaps even the next arc, depending on how things go. But we can flip this on our heads and say that it is possible that Xenon, the reason why Xenon is being so secretive so far, at least, about his devil, and like everything about him is just a little weird. His devil markings are there before he got used to his devil mana. Like it's really odd. Why didn't they attack earlier? There's a lot of things that you question about Xenon, where it's possible that, since he represents the Machiavellianism in the Dark Triad's respective psychopathy traits, not psychopathy traits, it's just the Triad, the psychological phenomenon called the Triad. He represents the Machiavellianism. It's very possible that Xenon could be the one who has struck a deal with his devil to become a devil himself, because that would give him ultimate power in order to reign over a piece of land or his people, something like that. I don't like this theory, to be honest with you, because I don't think there's enough setup for Xenon to go over Dante's head, but I do believe that he is the face of Machiavellianism for a particular reason, so that will be a very important point as we move forward. Alternatively, this could even be implied for Morris, who has very clearly been some sort of a schemer, and he has a clear alternate devil inside of him. He's contracted to a devil inside. It could be the Time Devil, it could be maybe even Lucifugus. There's a lot of things that could happen depending on how the rest of the arc goes. So it could be him who has contracted, and the reason why he's actively doing something for the tree of Cliffoth is so that once he's able to let out his devil, he might be able to become a devil himself. And finally, we get to Vonica and Magicula. So this was the most difficult part for me to decipher anything, because except for her personality, we don't really know a lot about Vonica, and her motivation, like I said, does seem to be kind of surface level. And from where I'm standing, the only way to make it any more nuanced is if you throw other characters connected to her devil at her, which is not really a great sign, unless I'm missing something that you guys can see. So if that's the case, please let me know down in the comments below what exactly I'm missing on her character with regards to how nuanced it possibly is. So let me know down in the comments below regarding that. So other than just this, there is an important line of reasoning that I want to give so you can connect Dante to Griffith. So in the manga of Berserk, Griffith has the ability to manipulate gravity and space. He has used gravity as a repulsive force and has created gravity wells, but most notably, he has warped and distorted space to redirect a space-cleaving tear. To me, this completely screams Dante warping space to avoid Yami's dimensional slash. So regarding the sacrifices that Griffith had to make, he had to sacrifice his own kin, his own people, not his kin, but so if that's the case, could we see the Triad sacrificing the other two, one of the Triads sacrificing the other two? Could we see Morris sacrificing the entirety of the Triad? Could there be something else here at play? There's a lot of things that could go wrong, so let me know down in the comments below what exactly you think will go down between the Triad and the Tree of Cliffoth, and let me know if you agree with this possibility down in the comments below. I really want to know what y'all think. But other than that, like I said before, make sure to like the video if you liked it and subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on, because like I said, the Lies of the Kira family is coming out very, very soon. The script is almost done, so yeah, look forward to that. But with that said, my name is Buzzard. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. Goodbye.